Hey, welcome back. My name is Solomon, and this is during my Omer counting and journaling journey. And last night we counted the fifth night, and today is the fifth day, and tonight will be the sixth, and it's also the last 2 days of Passover, so it's considered two more holy days. So in the next coming days, and then the rest of the 40 something days of counting the Omer, there will be some days I'll probably do multiple journal entries and kind of reflections rather than doing it day by day. The first video I explained the kind of introduction, and I explained Chesed Shebechesed, the first component of the soul, which is loving kindness and kindness. And we've been in the week of Chesed, which means, in general, kindness or loving kindness. And the second day, as I'd like to go through a little bit and then review the main intent of this video and this journey, is to kind of go through and reflect on when I started doing these journals 2 years ago in 2018, then when I journaled on in 2019, and now this 3 years later, or the third time, what I was thinking and what lessons did I learn along the way, and what more insights have I gained. But with that said, I started this journal 2 years ago on the fifth day, which is today, which is Hod Shebechesed. But I'll briefly go through kind of the previous journals, which was Gevura Shebechesed, which is kind of like discipline in loving kindness. Then the Sefirat Ha'Omer, which is the harmony between kindness and Gevura, which is kind of discipline or holding back. And one of the journal entries like I put on for Sefirat Ha'Omer was how does one contemplate concepts such as harmony in loving kindness? What exactly does that mean? I wrote, one of the reasons I can discern and understand is part knowing on a core level that all is one. So like I mentioned in the first video, the short little story of the boy wanting everybody to be like him, and then he was like, wait, I don't want everybody to be like me, and it went on to go show that God made everybody the same, but he gave them different disguises. Just a cute little way of showing that how to look at everybody else, how to, not just people, but every situation as a reflection of yourself. And so I wrote, all is a reflection of the internal world. The harmony of love is, therefore, built on this. I love all, even those who quote-unquote hurt me. I put quotes because I was from the apps that I am using to help gain insight and journal on. It mentioned how do you love somebody that hurts you? So I wrote, I love all, even those who quote-unquote hurt me, because according to what I was sharing it before, with this idea that we're all one, then that person is me. That said, the said, quote, hurtful action is their pain. If somebody's feeling good, why would they hurt me or somebody else? It only hurts if I have a button to push, meaning something that's bothering myself, and if somebody pushes it, it's not their problem. I'm the owner of that button. Once I see that person as myself, I can hold a space and not let the hurt in me. I can give freely because I'm aware of all that I receive daily from the moment of waking up and the moment of going to sleep. Focusing on gratitude is a skill, and what you focus on expands. I can choose to live in a vibrational alignment with my highest self, which no doubt will feel whole. And if I'm whole, there's nothing to want, i.e., from Psalms, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. And all I want to do is give and to share. And with a change in consciousness brings a change of energy. So when I broke down all that, I think that really helped me understand what's harmony in loving kindness. And it's the ability to reach out and give more kindness to somebody, as well as maybe sometimes if the person's reacting in a forceful, angry way. The loving, kind way may be to actually hold back, to hold a space. That was Tifer. That was day 3. Then Netzach Shebechesed, which is more of endurance in loving kindness. And from what I learned from those different apps and other insights from rabbis, I wrote down, knowing with absolute certainty that if your true intent is good, then from it only good can emerge. And I wrote, for an intent to be true, it implies it has a pure desire. A clear intent, so something I truly desire, let's say a wonderful relationship, and I get clear on, well, what does that person I want to have a relationship with have? What qualities do they have? What values do they have? That needs to be, that's only good, or it needs to be married with wholesome emotions, gratitude, joy, elevated emotions like that. If I'm living in a state of fear, living in a state of unworthiness, that, for this example, relationship, I won't be able to see it. Thus, when I was reading this insight, then from it only good can emerge, then I wrote down, thus only good will emerge, and at times better than I'd imagined. Because what's more important is being in that state of gratitude. Transcendence, another insight that it was shared was, transcendence is the secret to lasting love. So I wrote, to transcend, one must have a higher awareness of the situation to not react in habitual ways, but rather to respond consciously. A partner or a friend may be angry with me, or anyone, or an unpleasant situation like, God forbid, a car crash, were to arise in one's life, whereas it is justable to react angrily toward either situation. Transcending that situation is seeing that this is temporary and that there is something to learn. And it may even be there thanks to God, as there's been a popular, important, and truthful statement that this doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And only with this greater perspective can I transcend the moment and observe it from a greater level of mind. Now, I found that very fitting for Netzach Shebechesed, which is endurance and loving kindness, because building a strong relationship, building love, is not just a daily, or not just a short time. It takes time, and so be able to go through the different ebbs and maybe challenging times with a relationship, for example, that transcendent higher awareness is necessary. Now that brings us to today, which is Hod Shebechesed, and this, like I mentioned at the beginning, is when I started the first journal. I don't remember exactly how come I didn't do the first few days, but I didn't. So I'd like to kind of take a journey, invite you on a journey back with me to 2018, in which, like I mentioned in the first video, I was experiencing very challenging times. And there was a meditation on the only app that was available at the time, which was the Omer counter. And there was an insight that God sees the giver and taker as one. And the taker is really giving, and the giver is receiving. At that time, 2 years ago, I felt that my mind was given less than it needs. However, I begin my search and journaling my progress to recover and exile from my own personal Egypt. Today I learned much from, I was reading Dr. Engel's Concussion Repair Manual. Funny enough, I actually had the fortunate opportunity to interview him on my podcast. So if you like, go check that out. Then, a year later, I wrote, 1 year ago today, I started journaling about the counting of the Omer and relating the symptoms I had been feeling to get the Egypt out of me. It took, one thing I found very cool was, it took the Jews a day to get out of Egypt, but 40 years to get Egypt out of them. Amazing. So I went on to journal different things, but one thing I found very mature and full of growth is I have learned several valuable lessons from my life, but in regard to this Omer meditation of givers and takers, I learned that my perspective was limited the year prior by ego. I said my mind was given less than it needs, but that's not how God sees it. In God's view, in the universe or source, however you'd like to call, the giver and the taker are one. The taker is really giving and the giver receiving. 1 year ago, I may have thought he was taking from me what I needed, but today I know he has given me a brighter, more wholesome perspective to life's ebbs and flows. Now, it brings a smile on my face reading that, because now I'm 2 years past that, and I'm reflecting on not only 2018 and 2019, or the year Hebrew calendar 5778, 5779, and now 5780. So I journaled. It's the 3rd year of counting this journal. The meditation was of givers and takers. And another one from the other app is Hod, which is more humility in loving kindness. So at first I kind of journaled what exactly does that mean to me, and then explaining a little bit more. What does it mean to have humility and kindness? Humility is showing modesty of one's character. Kindness is giving a kind act. It's generally going out and doing something kind. To have humility in kindness is to recognize that in every moment one is truly receiving so much that offering a hand to this other person, or whatever the experience or opportunity that has arose as a parent, that offering a hand in kindness is relatively small, not in comparison of quality, but quantity. In each moment, there is receiving and giving, like with breathing in and breathing out. And there's so much going on within the body that we're all receiving so much to be able to do daily functions. It's really beautiful. One cannot continuously breathe in nor out. Eventually the opposite must occur. So if you were to try with me watching this video, just keep breathing in, just receiving, it gets to a point you just can't take in anymore. You just want to breathe out, just give. And another story or example that was shared with me that I found very fitting and appropriate for this lesson is a person tossing a ball up and down. And at every moment when I'm throwing it, this hand is giving and this hand is receiving. There has to be both. One is giving and one is receiving. So, but if you look at that on the perspective, and this is what I was journaling, there seems to be one giver and one receiver. Excuse me, dog over here. In understanding that life has these givers and takes, these ups and downs, these ebbs and flows, the ability to observe the situation as one grows. Because if you look beyond just the surface of playing catch, I am the one holding both hands. So yes, there is an interaction of give and take, but both hands belong to one person, which is me. So ultimately, they're both part of me. Each moment is filled with this impermanence, arising, passing away. By transcending the current situation, similar to what I was talking about with Netzach Shebechesed, it can be observed from what it really is and approached confidently and humbly, because, as King Solomon said, this too shall pass. And I believe he was referring to this law of impermanence. And because the giver and the taker are one, and because the giver and taker are one. 2 years ago, I thought the mind was given less than what it needs. 1 year ago, I recognized each moment God delivers to me all that I need, and not just me, but everyone, all that they need in that moment. Today, I can look back and see all these trees from the transcendent view of the forest. And if you're journaling along with me, a fun way to continue to personalize the information of counting of the Omer, I invite you to kind of look down the road when you're a year later or 2 years later looking back and reading what you wrote. It's humbling in itself. So thank you for tuning in again. Again, today we reviewed Omer 2 through 5, which was Gevura, Netzach, and Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, and Hod, and we're in the week of Chesed. And moving forward, looking forward to seeing you and joining me again as I finish up this and continue this journaling journey. Thanks again for joining. See you again next time.